Yeah, when I click on like the filter option, to add filters,
Yep.
it says you should pay to have these features. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
wondering if it's not picking up my phone because that's a paid feature of like having a higher quality camera. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Well, you're in at 1080p and we're recording. So it's good to be here, bro. It's nice to see you again, Andrew. It's we're getting together after
Are we live?
um quite a time. I've clicked live on my side. So if you
I
on my,
haven't.
oh, okay.
So we're
Then
live on the recording,
yes, we're
maybe. Is
right.
that
Yes, the stream should be sending now. So once you so once you press
okay?
live, it should be live. Although my YouTube will have it, so I'll have to trim this. I'll have to trim your little your little gesture there. keep it keep it
Yes.
appropriate. Are you?
We are live and welcome everybody in Extraordinary Men's Network. You might recognize our wonderful founding member and friend and confidant, Steve Wright.
Great
Nice
to
to
be
have you
here.
back here, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been a good minute, but it's nice to see you. And it's
Feels
it.
like it's been several years, you know.
Yeah, you could say that. We can very much say that. Several years for me is not the same as several years for you, but we
That's
can
right.
we can look at that. I've
Steve's been in cryo chamber.
not quite actually. It's
No.
the other way around. I've been compressing. I've been sneakily compressing my time,
Mm,
and it's been interesting. I'm seeing it's been positive. It's allowed me to see and measure and course correct throughout the year, which has been a real plus. So 2025
interesting.
is looking. It's been a it's been a good year actually. I've got some great highlights, and
I
I'm
felt
proud of that.
I felt like by the end of 2024, and it's hard to put my finger on what it was now, but and 23 and 22 maybe ever since COVID, it's like every year seemed to be getting worse, and
Mm,
everyone was saying, oh, next year can't be any worse than this, right? Like such a person died, and such a scandal happened, and for some reason this year I did feel like I got on board. I was persuaded into believing that this year was going to be better.
mm,
It's like, yeah, me too, man. I feel like 2025 is going to be the year we crush it. Like this is going to be great for business, great for family, personal development,
mhm,
and yeah, for me personally, it hasn't been. I would say there has been highs for sure. However, the things that I thought I was going to be able to build upon from
mhm.
last year or the year before didn't end up happening. New challenges arrived that
Right.
needed a lot more attention than I would have imagined, I would have guessed. And yeah, it was hard. It was hard to juggle those adjustments
Right.
and still hold a vision for what I wanted to do this year. So
Yeah.
when I spoke to you earlier previously, and you told me what you've been up to, my interest was definitely piqued.
Mm,
And because we talk a lot about books, right? We talk about a lot about um, nonfiction. Like one of the best ones you reckon turn me on to was the Gap and the Gain,
yeah.
which is
Yeah. Ben
a kind of
Hardy.
philosophy on how you look at success and how you measure it. But that was a great book.
Yeah.
Your Deep Work was another one as well. But today we're going to actually talk about content from a different book, and you'll figure it out what it is. But
It's
what have you been doing differently this year? Well, let me ask you this first. Do you feel like this year's been a bit more productive year than many of the previous? Have you seen a particular upshift?
I've seen I've s- I would say yes, I've seen an upshift in some areas and a not necessarily maybe a stagnation in others. It's a couple of things that you've said and just sharing in terms of that whole mindset of next year will be better. We have this sort of eternal optimism or eternal hope. that whatever we've got through or coming through or going through, there'll be respite, something at the end of the
Yeah.
metaphorical rainbow, right? In terms of it'll, I'll be able to rest, or I'll be able to find my feet, or I'll be able to do something. And that's part of the human condition. We have to have that dynamic of hope in order to get us through difficulty or suffering or pain or issues. And it's not a doom and gloom scenario. It's just the way it's the human condition. We are always looking for something to allow us to get through. And you said like holding a vision, and I think for me this year the big thing has been that by using a technique that I gleaned from a book. It's the 12-week year. It's been out for a while. And it's not it's not a brand new book. I won't show it because it's just promoting the book, but it's definitely worth a scan if you are agile minded or sprint minded. And if you know those terms, you probably understand where they come from in terms of software development, and sort of those business methodologies. This pretty much sits in that camp. But for me, the big thing for me was periodization, thinking of a 12-week period like a 12-month year, and really
Mm.
taking on board the title of the book. It's not a matter of trying to jimmy everything into quarters. I really do approach my 12-week period as like a 12-month year. I call week 1 January, I call week 12 December. For me, that helps in terms of understanding that I get 4 bites of the cherry. I get four Januaries in which to make resolutions. And for me, that's important. I also
Four
get 12.
birthdays.
Sorry.
4 birthdays in
If I
January for
get,
me then.
well, I don't count the birthdays because it makes me too old. But I I count that I have 4 Decembers, which allows me to reflect and review and celebrate the year. Um, and for me, that's been big in terms of setting resolutions and setting visions that are in the construct and the constraint of a 12-week period, because it means that I can see it. I can stay involved with the vision a lot more. um, Things come up, and I can navigate a bit better because I know whether I should defer something until after the 12-week period, or I deal with it within the 12-week period. And that's an easier thing to navigate than thinking of the entire year. When
Mm.
people make resolutions in the January month, and before the end of the January month, they've already sort of shelved half of their resolutions or most of the resolutions. By Valentine's Day, they're pretty much on the shelf. And they
Yeah.
think they've got more time than they actually have. Parkinson's law comes in. Your work expands to fill the time. If you give yourself a year to do something, you'll take a year to do it.
Mm.
So the periodization was very big for me. So 2025 started that way. I got the book for Christmas, last Christmas, and read it, and it combined with some coaching practices that I was working with another team, and I used that to really embolden my vision. And like you said, holding on to a vision is very key. When things hit the fan, that vision is what can pull you through it. If you need to change the vision, be clear about changing it and understand the consequences and the ramifications of changing the vision, and be okay with that. It's your choice. You're not a slave to this thing. You've got free will and you've got choice in that. But with a smaller context, it's a lot easier to sort of navigate it and hold it and mold it and shape it than looking over the entire 12-month period. So for me, that was big. I had some big personal goals that involved my mother. I'm an only child from my mum, and she's special to me. And having goals around her birthday and around seeing her. She lives in Jamaica, so they were big, and I'm proud to say that this year those goals were accomplished. So lots of things on the way may have not been achieved, but I will look back over 2025 and look at the 4 years, the 4 12-week years I had in 2025, and maybe one year was different to the other, but overall in the calendar months it felt like 2025 was productive. Um, Even just learning the context of operating in a 12-week window has been useful. Bringing coaching tools to that space, into that context, makes it a lot more manageable to deliver, um, and it's easy to share. And that's the beauty of it. Uh, but that's been sort of a summary of what's happened this year. The last 12-week period, um, we introduced a cohort. So it wasn't just me traveling through this cycle. Some people saw the sort of the results and the focus, and tying in your vision, identity, beliefs into that period, and we joined together and traveled together, which was absolutely fantastic. It took it to another level. And rather
Was
than
that, was
being
it hard? Was it hard? Was it a challenge as well as being great? But was it a challenge to do it with other people, or was it in some ways easier to do it on your own, or what was the benefits?
It's interesting. I think initially it was it was easy. I think the key thing with a cohort is that it's not bringing on spectators. You are actually fellow travelers. I like the analogy of travelers rather than sort of a passenger and I'm driving the bus. That's not that mindset and not that approach at all. Um, it's more about being open to take the journey, being willing to contribute and participate in making the journey happen, not just for yourself but for other travelers. Understanding that we have different destinations and every destination is valid. We're not playing the comparison game in terms of whether your goal is bigger than my goal or your goal is less valuable than my goal. It's really a matter of understanding that it's an individual journey, but it's a collective energy to get there. And the accountability just raises the bar, and that was really the plus. Once you get egos and comparisons, and the willingness to be open, in place, or the resistance to being open out of the way, to be a better way to say it, then you have a space where you actually cheer. You know what it's like to cheer somebody and be cheered by somebody,
Mhm.
and that really does lift it lifts the game. It made it fun for me. um, I orchestrate. I may just orchestrate the discussions, but it truly is a cohort. We have shared tools, with regards to sort of coaching methodologies that we can use, um, and it's a great place to really hone those skills with a small group, um, and get their feedback. It's really powerful to understand what tool works for which person's scenario, and that just makes it even better. So I was really
Can you
excited about
could
year
could you
three.
tell me about just one specific tool that isn't isn't available to someone who's using a standard 12-month diary or journal, with 31 days in a month or whatever, and they're planning out their year. What's one particular tool that lends itself so well to this kind of
Yeah,
condensing of time and
I
stuff?
th- I think well, it's not unique. It's not unique to this construct in terms of the 12-week, in terms of the 12-week cycle or 12-week program. It's the the one thing I could really say is that envisioning and creating an identity and the belief structure around your goal is paramount. It's the equivalent of getting on a bus and not knowing where the bus is going. you know, if you
Right.
get to a bus station and you see all these buses and they all look alike, you look for your stop or you look for the number on the front, and its final destination may not be where you're going, but you know it's going to stop at your place along the way, and you get very clear about that. So
Right.
one of the tools, if you like, is really we spend the first, I would say the first couple of weeks really dialing in and honing in that vision, and that becomes the fuel and the catalyst for the continuing weeks. And in
Which
some
is
respects,
often what's lacking in big long-term goals is maintaining that fuel, right? That
yes,
you
yeah,
like,
and
so
on,
I don't even need that new car after all. I'll give up or something, right?
well, it's also what tends to happen is that for a goal to sustain us for a year, we think it has to be really big and really
Hmm.
audacious, if you like. And you know, you got the big, hairy, audacious goals, and you got things that are in that sort of space. But really, you want something that is going to be much more consistent and easy to access and easy to get an iterative a cycle around it, in terms of checking in with that goal. You set the vision. You look at that the identity of the person envisioning that thing. So if you want to I mean, it's usually you want to drive a different car, and you can envision yourself in that car. A different car within a 12-week stretch, maybe going from an old clunker to something that's a decent part exchange used vehicle. Doesn't really matter what the jump is, but you see yourself in that vehicle, what it means to have it, who you are driving it, what are the consequences of moving to that new vehicle, and all that sort of stuff. Getting a very concise vision around that. It won't necessarily take you a calendar year to get a new car, but it could be a goal that you can have with a constraint of 12 weeks, because new job or opportunity or something.
Yeah.
So you set your focus of the vision for the goal to an appropriate lens, if you like, for a 12-week window. It's not the only thing you want to do in a calendar year, but it's one of the things that you want to do within that period. So that is key in terms of making sure that you've got things aligned in that respect. And then the tool, it really is to really double down on the beliefs around it. What beliefs are stopping me or potentially holding me back in terms of limiting beliefs? What beliefs do I need to lean into and build to be the person that achieves that goal? And then there are NLP style processes in terms of visualization and sort of collapsing anchors and those sorts of techniques, and getting kind of technical. But in essence, there are tools that you can use along the journey that will keep you engaged with the goal. And the analogy of the bus, at a bus terminal, and you get on the bus and you know that the end destination, the route, the end destination, your stop is on the route, but it's not the end of the bus journey. When you're on a bus that you don't know the navigation, you are you are always checking the stops that the bus takes to see how close you are to the stop that you need to get off at. And sometimes that is just makes sense. As you get closer, you go, okay, I'm getting ready to get off this bus at my stop.
Uh-huh.
The analogy in life, in some of our traditional goal setting, is someone says where you going, you tell them where you're going because it's grand and audacious, and then you get on
Nobody ever
any
thinks
bus. You
about
get
what,
on any bus. We might even get on the
yeah.
bus that goes there, and then you sit there and you hope it's gonna get you to your destination.
Yeah. I
And
was playing it through in my head about what this analogy is, and I don't know, I started thinking about being a backpacker and being a large suitcase carrying person, right?
Mm,
And you both go into the same resort, but one of you has to make sure, because the nature of having that kind of luggage has to make sure they're on the right bus and go to there, whereas
yeah,
the other guy has freedom and can go to various places.
yeah,
But then I start thinking, well, the guy with the heavy luggage is going to get there, and he's know he's going to get there because he's getting on the right bus. The other guy, and I start thinking that they're working against each other now. But so I'm confused a little bit about the analogy. However, I do get the fact that there's no the habit we have of having a 12-month goal is, the more I read of the book, 'cause I'm about three-quarters of the way through it, is
mhm,
starting to sound more and more ridiculous, because how can you keep focus on something that feels so far away? If
yeah,
it's like planning a space trip to Mars, it's like I would get so sidetracked by the huge numbers of distance, like that it would never happen.
yeah,
And it's no wonder that so many New Year's resolutions don't succeed, because you lose track of what it was you were even going for. You find maybe even different goals on the way.
mm,
So having quarter mile checkpoints almost seems like a much more logical way of, you know, increasing the chance of success, I would say.
yes, and again, the I hang on, I harp on this point of periodization. You can have a big goal and divide it into four. You could have a whole year and divide it into quarters. That's the traditional way
Mm,
that people carve out a period of time, a 90-day window, quarters in a business, quarters in the year. But there's other sorts of periodization. There's an academic year is not a full school year. It's
no.
not a full annual year. It's broken into semesters. So
Yeah. And
um
it's making sure you have the tools to see it in that light, though, right? Like everyone's house you go to, every shop or business you go into has those 12-month calendars.
yes,
You're seeing it all the time. Your phone has it. It's always in your face. But if you invest in or create your own um periodization calendars and get used to that system of, this is the by the end of these 12 weeks, this is the end of something,
yeah,
so therefore, there should be an achievement, whether you get it or not, is just like a normal year. And then you start another segment, right? Like
yeah,
there's no, you can have the same emotion and the same value. It's just in a shorter time frame. And that's even without mentioning again, like you said, Frank's law about, you will spend as much time doing it as
mm,
as you give yourself. So what does Elon Musk say about doing 10 year your 10-year goal in 6 months or something?
yeah. Well, there's Gates' law that says we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in a decade. So
Yes.
that is that thing where we we don't. I guess Gates' law speaks more to understanding that um, there's a lot that can be done with a longer runway. That you have sustainable activities. If you have
Hmm.
sustainable activities over time, will get you a lot further than you thinking in terms of a big goal in a short time. Parkinson's law says that work will expand to fill the time. So if you give yourself 6 months on something, you'll take 6 months on something. Usually we work back from what we can do. The tortoise and the hare. The hare knows that it can run the distance, it can run the track in minutes. So it
Mm.
works back from the finish and says, I don't have to start for another hour because this tortoise isn't going to, I can outpace it, and
Yeah.
ends up actually messing with the perception of time.
Mhm.
What a periodization does is, again, people can divide time to make it smaller. When I think of a month as a week, I'm thinking of January being, and the month of January being a week, the month of February being week two, the month of March being week three. And in my head, it's like that time of the year, January, is a time of renewal, reflection. It's the Janus, it's the two-headed god, right? The god that looks back on the previous year and the god that looks forward on the oncoming year. Great place to set vision, great place to
Mhm.
set intention and get yourself going. February is the month of love. It's Valentine's. It's got a Valentine's Day in it. For me, that's a matter of loving yourself in terms of your identity. You got to love the new identity that you're creating with the vision. You know, March is end of winter. You got summer. You got spring kicking in. March and April are renewal. You know, we have those things in our hallmark calendar. You know, or out in terms of things in the world. So when you think of March, think of those things that you think of in the month of March, apply them to the week of the program, and you'll have that invigoration. So for me, I tie them very closely together, more so than the book does. And that, again, I think for me, that helps me break away from thinking of the year in quarters. I think of a calendar year in 12-week years. 1 week is left fallow, just like the scripture says. You've got to leave your land. You've got to leave your land with no crops, no farming, to let it enrich itself. And the week between the 12-week years are set aside for that time to decompress, to slough off the period, review, reflect, reignite, revise, all the R's I can think of in terms of that time.
Resurrect, no,
Resurrect, refresh, and
Mhm.
then you go into
Reconstruct,
the new period. You can tie years together.
rectify.
You can tie years together. You don't have to think that the goal you had in one period has to be totally different from the goal in another period.
Mm. I mean, it
It's
sounds like to me whatever works, you can manipulate it to be that.
absolutely.
The key seems to be, and I don't foresee a problem with envisioning it like that. Like it actually excites me to think, and not just in like the children way of like I get 4 Christmases this year, not that, but it's just the fact that like as a life coach, one of the big things for me to kind of help my clients see is that right now is always a great time to celebrate. You
Yes.
know, like it doesn't have to be a big step or a big end point to where you go, yes, I did it. You know, every moment of taking a step in the right direction can be an opportunity to be like, I did it. I did
Yeah.
it. I took a step forward.
Yep.
And if you compress the time, you get to have more of those.
Exactly.
And more of those means more motivation and more excitement. So regardless of the having more Valentines and having more goals or even if you have the same goal every quarter, you have more opportunities to really notice as
Yes.
well. And then after you've noticed, celebrate, praise, right?
Mm.
Which is all fuel for maintaining moving forward,
Yeah.
which is what we need at least what for me I've noticed in the all my life until I hope I'm going to say until this point, um, always happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's the lull in summer because it's so flipping hot and humid over here, or the dry early short day winters.
Hmm.
There's reasons, excuses maybe a better word for why things don't get done during those time periods. But when you don't have seasonal changes in a quarter of the year, it's harder you to lean into those excuses.
Yeah.
And also, the celebration is just around the corner every time.
Yes.
Like to me, these are all positives. I guess there could be people out there that see this as negative, but my other problem is waiting, like not waiting. I mean, setting a goal of this year, I'm going to lose 10 kilos.
Hmm.
It's pretty much guaranteed that I won't even properly like Christmas Day, New Year's Day will be like, take it easy. I'm on a diet now. Gonna lose 10 kilos this year. and then but it won't really kick in until like November. You know, I know that the hard work and like there'll be a lot of prep, there'll be a lot of fitness and nutrition blogs being read during the year,
Hmm.
but the real work, the calorie burning and the calorie deficit that you maintain, all that stuff will happen in November and December. And then
Because
I'll wonder, why did I only lose 1 pound or 1 kilo or 2 kilo? Like, because you know you have so much, you feel like you have this huge distance between you
yeah,
and the end,
yep,
that you'll just keep delaying until you feel the pressure of, okay, not too much time left now. This is a good time to start. A bit like
yep,
the hare and the chicken, or
yeah.
whatever you called it.
Him and the
Um,
tortoise,
yes, yeah, yeah.
him and the chicken. Actually, that would have been an interesting race too, if the chicken could stay on the track. but you're, but you,
Laying eggs all over the place, and
but you're right. But you're right. It is the concept of, if we don't align the goal to the context or the construct or the constraint of the time to achieve it, then we will have that misalignment where we think we've got acres and oodles of time. We don't have to start now, or you give yourself an out because you can catch up. You think you can
mm,
catch up.
you think you can catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you've got a smaller time with an appropriate goal, properly envisioned, with a clear identity and understanding the beliefs that drive that vision for you. And no one in the cohort, no one tells anyone what they should be, what those things should be, because that's your journey, that's your understanding, that's your drive, and it's your outcome. It's not on anybody else to get you there. It's your outcome. And what happens, I think, then is that you don't only, for example, the 10 kilo weight loss, you start in January, the first week, with the things that talk about your identity. What kind of person do I have to be? You know,
Mm.
I became a vegan. I became a vegan after watching a documentary. There's a couple of documentaries I watched back to back, and that day after watching them, decided to go vegan. And
Proud of you.
well,
Thank you for doing your bit.
I only I only say that because because sometimes people think it's daunting, and other times people think they have to kind of ease their way into it. I had other people in the house that could eat the food that I chose not to eat, so I wasn't throwing away food. Other people were eating it. That's fine. It was a
Yeah.
matter of deciding what it took to make that action stick. And part
Yeah.
of the biggest thing about making the action stick was that the steps were small enough and repeatable enough.
And
For,
you wanted it, and
I
you felt that it
wanted,
was something that we wanted and was right to do, and then you made the decision and stuck to it as well,
I,
right? Like,
I, it wasn't even that, it wasn't even that profound. It wasn't hard to start because there was little, there was, I didn't make any big barriers to starting. It was plant based. The decision was to go plant based. So
mm,
plant based means that there's no dairy and there's no animal product. Um, Today you can find substitutes, and that may take a while to get your head around or your mouth around certain things that are pretending to be cheese or pretending to be meat. But even if that's not on your radar, going vegetarian without dairy is essentially plant based. And
mm.
that's not necessarily a hard thing to do for a day or a day and a week or a month. And then once you've flicked the switch that says this isn't that hard to start and it's not that hard to continue, I built my belief along the way, but I started the behavior straight away. And I think sometimes that can happen if you've got something that is very dear to your heart and close, and that gets you off the couch and into your
Mm.
running shoes, or gets you off the couch and gets you to the front door.
Okay. Well, you just mentioned two things in one breath that make me feel uncomfortable: veganism and running. So let's get off topic. Let's get back to the point. Achieving more in the same amount of time, feeling good about it as well,
Mm,
enjoying the process. So yeah, I think yeah. I mean, you persuaded me earlier, and I really wanted to know, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share with the people of of this community, which
yeah.
you are in, by the way, a
Yes. Yes.
moderator. We've been in this since the beginning together, and I just invited you really to share. Is it okay if to talk about how much you've done so far and that kind of thing? Are you good with that? I
How
don't
much I've
want to
done
invade
so far in terms of
the years.
how many years I've done. Yes, I said I started in the calendar year of 2025. So we have a cohort starting actually this Sunday, the 28th of September, which will run through to the end of the calendar year. And forgive the confusion. And actually, sometimes I do it on purpose to confound calendar years with 12-week years, because that's just part of my headspace in terms of thinking of a week as a month. So, but all that to say, we have a cohort starting. I'm starting my fourth year of 12-week of this 12-week period this Sunday, and the logistics are we have a weekly check-in, which is like the accountable action in I call it the accountable action incentive intensive. So it's an opportunity to
The
get
accountable action
action
incentive intensive.
intensive. Actually, take off the other. It's just one. It's just it's not incentive. It's intensive. So
I
actionable.
don't know. I think we should have them all in there.
Uh,
Accountable action intensive incentive.
three is good. On actionable account. I'm sorry, it's not action. It's accountable action
Intensive
intensive.
implementation. No.
And and that really is that it's a weekly check-in, but you got access to me and coaches within the week for quick chats, check-ins, pep talks, talk about the tools, things that may be not clear, challenges that come up.
Mm.
That's totally fine. And you'll be surprised how quick 12 weeks goes when you have something that feels part of what you're doing. It's a routine. It becomes almost habitual, and the weeks go by quickly. 12 weeks is a blink of the eye. We always say as we get older, the years seem to go around. They come around faster.
Yeah.
So 12 weeks is
I
going
mean,
to
I
be
think the year goes
perfect.
by fast anyway, right? Like, I mean, at 45, I know they feel faster, but it's it's like again, I'm going to call it Peter's law this time. Nature abhors a vacuum, and it's going to get filled, right? Time is
Mm,
going to get filled, and it seems like as we get older, we fill it more easily. We have less downtime, or maybe it's just a product of living in 2025, where we just have so much amazing tech and everything's available all the time. But it's like there's no downtime, so the year feels super fast because we never
mm,
stop doing something.
mm,
So you may as well. To me, it just says it just sounds like as soon as I heard about it and started reading the book myself too, this makes sense. Like, why waste? Why stretch out these? You know, not mundane, but why stretch out these important tasks that could be reduced in time to stack up into more achievement as opposed to less achievement and taking longer? If that makes
yes,
sense.
and be careful. I my my thing around hooking into the periodization is that one has to be careful about the concept of compressing time, because you have to have a reason for compressing time.
Yeah.
the state of flow, when you're doing something that you love and time seems to go by so quickly. You know,
Mm.
whether it doesn't have to be pleasurable, whereby you want to lengthen the pleasure that you're having doing something. It may just be something that's intensive and is purposeful, and it's atelic. The term atelic means that it's not about an end goal, it's about the process of working through something. So you play music or you make something with your hands, you do woodworking, you read, you write, you write poetry, you write novels. You get involved in something that the thing that you're involved in is the pleasure, not the outcome that you get from it. And so in that sense, that kind of activity doesn't fit into the package of compressing. You want to be in flow. You don't want to compress flow. You want to be in it.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm misrepresenting. I think of the idea of like trimming the fat. Like
Hmm.
when you have a lot of time, you have a lot of fat around the activity, so
Yeah.
you can trim it off, but you're not really compressing it. You're just it naturally happens faster because you're not focused, and you kind of mentally know you have to not focus on those waste time wasters, if you
Yep.
like, because you I think it was Charlie Munger, is it, who talks about something like this in terms of making a list of things to do and choosing the top three of those of that list,
And then get rid
and
of the rest of
just
the list.
all you need to do is do those three every day, and more often than not you'll hit your goal.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had like a longer day, you would probably feel compelled to do four or five things on that list,
Yeah.
and you'll end up not achieving your goal for some reason.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of psychological trickery going on, maybe, or something, but
Yeah.
it definitely sounds solid to me, and I really want to do it.
Yeah.
I
And you're
been
you're you're
sold.
right. You're right about having the right lens of focus on an objective, so that you are focused on the objective and you're not being sidetracked by all the stuff around it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lens of a calendar year allows for all that stuff, the fat, if you like, to be added, because it's hard to fill everything with a purposeful action. Whereas when you
Yeah.
come down to a 12-week period, you literally have less time to have the fat be introduced to the purpose.
Yeah.
You're on task more. The lens is at the right focal length for the goal that you want to achieve.
You must also feel like it's going to happen sooner. I think about the goal I set this year for the end of this year, and even as I'm setting it, there's a feeling of that that's never going to come
Mm.
because it's so far away.
Yeah.
It's hard to. It's so like I think of the movie where it's like, is it Inception or something, where it's like it's an idea. You feel it in your mouth, it's on the tip of your tongue, but you dance. No, it's Gladiator, right?
Mm.
There's a dream that is Rome, right? But you must only whisper it because it will disappear into the dust. It's
Mhm.
like I have this goal for this year, but if I talk too much about it, or think too deeply about it, it will never happen.
Right.
But if you've only got 12 weeks, hop, skip, and a jump, you're there, and there's no reason why I can't grab it and have it.
Yeah. I know. It was year two, that my mother turned 80, and the goal for that year was to take her to Paris and be on the top of the Eiffel Tower for her birthday. That's very precise. That's a project that
Yeah.
you know whether you achieve it or you don't. It's
Hmm.
also very precise, so that you will cut the fat to make it happen, because you can't be in London on her birthday and expect to be at the top of the Eiffel Tower. You've got to be in France. You've got to be in Paris.
Well, tell me this: did your mum have to follow your 12-week year?
No,
Oh, so
but
her
she
birthday
shared,
was
but
on
I
her
shared the,
birthday.
but I shared the, gu- but I shared, I shared the dream. I shared the goal with her. So she's part.
Mm,
If someone's part of your vision, bring them in as an ally.
mm.
You need it. that makes the perfect sense. And actually, it's difficult to have a goal that involves, or a dream or vision that involves somebody else without them knowing about it and being involved in it. And a 12-week window makes it a lot more palpable and tangible for them as well. They feel it closer. I knew 4 weeks in whether I was on track or not. I knew I had
Hmm.
timelines to get tickets and make accommodation arrangements in that time. And by by halfway through that 12-week year, I knew it was going to happen, and it felt so good to make sure that all the things that needed to happen before that time happened, because I was being pulled towards my vision and not pushing myself to make it happen. And
Yeah.
that's a very different feeling when you are drawn to a goal or a vision than when you're trying to push and force things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a bit like carrot and stick in a sense, but I wonder before we wrap this up, because
Mm.
we've been on for a little bit, if you could just talk to us a little bit of your experience of, starting at week one, year one, and then going through three um cycles of it. What what was it like at the beginning? Did it feel strange? Was it exciting? And what was there any issue with, like repeating a program? Like I have this trepidation of doing the same thing over, and it's like I've done this once, don't need to do it again. Or
Right.
because it is essentially the same system every year. Like
Yes.
it's a bit like New Year's resolutions. Nobody says, "Oh, I'm not making resolutions this year because I did resolutions last year."
Right.
But and
And
yet I've done this workout routine. I'm going to find a new one to do. Like there's some areas where we'll accept it and some we won't.
yeah,
How was it for you?
that's a good. It's a great question. The Certainly having the sort of the concepts, and not only the book, but I watched some of the content from from the two authors who are coaches with regards to their material, and that helped kind of get my head around the periodization. That is I've said it a bunch of times, and that was the one thing that I needed to get my head around. It's not just quarters. It's got to be something more than that, so that I can feel the constraint of the time that I'm putting together, and not try and fool myself that really it's not a year, it's a quarter, and all that stuff. So that's the first thing I think. And it doesn't, people get to that the way they want to get to it. I'm not saying they have to do it the way I did it, but that was a key thing. The other thing was the right sizing of the vision. That is the other key thing. You can't put a literally a 12-month goal into a 12-week window if there are constraints that have to happen 4 months away. It's not going to make sense to have that as a finite finished goal within a 12-week window. So right sizing the vision. But that doesn't stop. That's not necessarily a problem. It's just a matter of you understanding that if you need to climb a mountain, you you have to go through base camps,
Hmm.
and you choose the base camp. The starting base camps may be long and shallow. The base camps near the top of the summit may be short and steep. So each base camp is different in itself and has a different outcome. So that is really important, to right size the vision to the construct and the constraints of the 12-week. So you don't get yourself, and you can play with that. That's why I did multiple week. That's why I did multiple years. I said to
Yeah.
myself, I said to myself, I was going to do this. I was going to do this 7 times before I decide whether 7 times, where before I decide whether I will continue doing it or not. So I've done, this will be my fourth. And the transformation has been the addition of I was doing this myself anyway. So the addition of a cohort just means that there's other people on the same bus as me. And that's really exciting. So I can definitely see myself at least getting to the 7, reviewing what the
Mhm.
takeaways are. Starting year 1, week 1, or year 1, month 1, whatever that first week of the first time I did it. It's really just going through it's going through the mechanics,
Mhm.
and knowing that I'm doing 7 of them means I don't put too much value or too much weight on week 1, year 1.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's exponential growth as well? Like week one, the fact that it's the beginning and you have the setup to do, and then by the time you hit week five, you're not just 5 weeks ahead. You're like, is there that kind of
I
stacking and
No, I
or am I
think
just
I
tired?
think it's I think the refinement gets better. It's
Mm.
I would liken it to to chiseling, making a sculpture out of material, whether it's wood, marble, whatever, stone. Your first cut your first cuts are very, they're either big or they're rudimentary. And does it get it may get exponentially harder as you get to the fine details of a sculpture, but
I suppose
it's not.
but you get exponentially closer to seeing the finished product,
You are,
right? Those
yeah,
big
I
hits,
think
you're
with
like, this is ugly, it doesn't look like anything. But as you start getting down to the smaller taps, you begin to see the fine detail of
yes, and that,
potentially finishing.
and I don't know if that's an exponential. The thing of
I don't even know what
exponents.
exponential means, to be honest. What does
Yeah,
it mean?
well,
I just
it's
use
some
it to sound smart because you're using all these big
it's
words,
something
Steve.
that grows by a power. All right,
Oh,
so
I've got it. Oh, well,
by
I got
by
I got one of
and
those.
so I would say no, because because it would get crazy large in a very short time. But I think the resolution of a goal gets finer as you go through the period, and then picking a you can pick a goal that is adjacent to it, or you can pick a goal in a different area. You got the
Okay.
process down. The other thing is that you learn in the 12-week program now. Year 4 is going to be exciting because the tools and strategies that were used in the previous years are a bit more established now that I'm doing it for the 4th time. So you'll take the journey, and you will have clear tools and strategies along within that journey that you can use for yourself in other journeys that you take. So it's you're not obliged to just keep joining the cohort unless that's a
Mm.
desire for you. I mean, there is a power that comes with every new initiative, and you could have something, like I said, you can have an adjacent goal, or you could have you can have a goal in one area of your life, and pick a goal in a totally different area in your life for another year. The nice thing about that is that you if something can wait 12 weeks to have its own focus, then that's probably a better way to set things up than to try and do two goals together that are conflicting and
Mm.
you hit neither of them.
Yeah. Currently I have one more thing, and then
Yep.
we'll wrap it up, possibly. um, are there tools and worksheets and guides and things that tell you how to set appropriate, and by appropriate I don't mean limiting, but appropriate goals for a 12-week year, as opposed to a 12-month year where your goal might be to move house? You're not going to have that kind of goal for a 12-week year necessarily, because as a matter of fact escrow works this way, and contracting and valuations work in such a way that it's impossible to move house in 12 weeks, kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
Is there a knowledge that gets passed on to us? Because I
Um,
haven't seen it in the book
there
yet.
is there I there are there probably are there are some guidelines just in discussion. I don't think there's no cheat sheet for this. I mean, really, it is a almost like a coach. It's a coaching discussion to find out what that looks like. There's some obvious laws of physics or nature that you just can't you can't bend. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you can't set almost like a base camp goal rather than a summit goal. You know,
Yes.
if that metaphor works with regards to moving the needle, it's
I suppose to that point, there's no difference in making a 10-year goal, right? You have to mentally visualize what's possible in 10 years and set that as a goal, as opposed to you wouldn't set that goal in a 5-year period. Like
right, right.
it's a smart goal, right? You need to have deep thought about, how do you measure it? Is it measurable in this time frame, and is it achievable by you in this time frame?
Yeah,
So I suppose really I'm thinking making it too complicated in my head, because any time frame and any goal requires some intense thought on,
yeah,
is this achievable within this time frame,
yeah,
and what are the steps I need to take. So
yeah.
yeah.
And it's iterations. You just mentioned 10 years, and I think when you said 10 years, I thought that's 40, that's 40 12 week years. And I'm thinking that would be amazing. I can do this for 40 iterations. I may be thinking of it in 40 iterations a lot easier than I would be thinking of it in 10 years, because
Mm. I mean,
I can check in. I can check in every 12 weeks on my 10-year goal, as opposed to thinking that 10 years is a decade away. I'll be this age. I don't know where I'll be alive. I don't know where I'll be in the world. I don't know how I will feel, and have all these
yeah,
things that make a 10-year goal feel so far away that I couldn't even set it today. And
yeah.
I would probably I have a challenge with goals beyond 3 and 5
Mm.
years now.
3 hours. Oh, yeah. Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely it's a perspective and mindset shift that
Hmm.
allows you to get the result. I say get the result quicker. It's like getting the result at the in a timely way,
Efficiently. Or what?
effectively, and that's probably better than just getting it quick. And you'll be
Yes.
surprised how quick you get them when you're checking them 4 times in a calendar year versus at
Yeah. I
December
mean,
when you
some
check
of the
them
logic that we
daily.
haven't mentioned yet is the fact that you are keeping your eye on the prize more often, because you know it's coming sooner,
Yes,
which is backed up by a ton of theory of, the more you think about something, the more likely you are to bring it into a fruition.
yes.
Um, yeah, yeah, I love that.
And don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be hard. And like I mean, there's an element of cost to join the cohort. There's an investment in joining a cohort. And I'm saying this not as a sales pitch, but I'm saying this as a definer for whether you are in the space to make the commitment that is beyond the cost of the investment. And that statement applies for anything that you buy. It could be it could be a $5 soda and $2 soda to, a $50,000 car. It doesn't. You have to look at the commitment over the cost or the investment that you're making.
Hmm.
And for me, it's like you set that bar yourself. It's not for me to tell you what you can pay and what you can afford and where you sit in that. But it's a rule of thumb. Work out how much commitment over the investment you're willing to put in, because you can spend money and waste it
Hmm.
by not having the commitment. You spend $100 on something, you don't have the commitment, you've lost the $100 or you've wasted the $100. And
I'm curious. I said that was the last question, but it wasn't. I'm curious. In the last 3 years of doing this, did you find it was easier to make more rational or logical? I don't want to use the word goal. Well, you just said it earlier, just like 10 seconds ago. You're setting a benchmark
Mhm.
that is more realistic than if you had 12-month roadmap?
Absolutely. And you work out, you determine what the return, how quick the return on your investment is. That's not for me to tell you. No coach should do that. It's your transformation is your journey, and it's your transformation, and it has value to you, and you assign the value of that transformation. But to answer your question, yeah, it gets the the refinement of the goals gets better the more you do it. We just know that you gain a sense of mastery or an understanding, and then you what happens is that you grow, you grow the scope of your goals. Once
Hmm.
you've got some skin in the game, so to speak, your stretch goal from the first time you do it is going to be different from the stretch goal that you do after running through 3 or 4 iterations. It's just you get better at it, even within the same year, which is again exciting because I'll finish this year energized. I didn't get every goal, and I don't want to say that this is all Pollyanna. You do this and life is good. You do this and you realize where your shortcomings are, what things you need to check, what things you need to test and check and reappraise. But you get 4 bites of the cherry of doing it. I don't sit down at in December, on New Year's Eve and ruminate about 2025 as a block of 12 months. I look back
Because
and I
even that's
go,
hard to do, right? Your mind will miss out so much
so
of
much.
what happened.
So
Yeah.
that in itself is worth its weight, because you can then go, you know what, I got this one, but I didn't get this one. And then you can maybe even compare and contrast what the processes
Yeah.
were between the two of them. That maybe a different value, a different vision, maybe something came in and derailed you. And that's okay because it's a 12-week year. It's not a 12-month year.
Hmm.
So that sort of mindset shift and being able to check in often, it's like I mean, I'm using lots of metaphors. It's like a climber. When a climber climbs free climbs a wall, they
On a
hook in.
bus.
Yeah, they hook in a line. They have the rope and they anchor themselves to the wall, so that in the event of them climbing further and they fall to the length of the last anchor. They don't
Hmm.
fall to the ground. And that's what you
Yeah.
do when you run through a process that allows you to review, reflect, and build on it. So
Yeah. It does feel like, actually, it reminds me of the saying of you don't fall to the level of your expectations, you fall to the level of your training.
right,
And if you've done 12 weeks of training, even if it's the first one, the furthest you're going to fall back is to week one,
right,
which is no big deal. But I can say in full honesty, like year after year after year, and I've had a good 7 or 8 years of solid resolution making, and even smart goal resolution making, not
hmm,
just wishy-washy like it used to be when I was in my 20s. Like proper, I was proud of my resolution,
yep,
being resolute about these things,
yeah,
and yet I was no better at completing them, and I would fall back to the level of my training, which was think about what you want, write it down, write down why you want it and what would happen if you don't get it, what would happen if you do get it, still wouldn't get it at the end of the year, and fall back to that original level.
right.
If I only have to reset 12 weeks, that's a win already, because I have some skills and those skills will never go away,
Yeah.
and I'm only falling back that much.
Yeah. Actually the metaphor of the climber, because my daughter boulder climbs, so she climbs she does indoor bouldering, and boulder climbing doesn't require you to be harnessed because you're not climbing that high. It's just awkward and it's different problems on the wall. But there's in those gyms they have places where you're anchored and you're tethered up and you lock in. And what you just said there is so powerful, because not only are you anchored in, so you only fall to the last anchor point, you only need to climb to the next one.
Mhm.
You don't need to, you don't need to, you don't look at the wall and think, I'm going to climb this in one go without any anchor points.
Yeah.
You climb, if something gets tricky, you anchor in, you work out the problem in front of you on the wall,
Yeah.
and then you climb to that position, you anchor in.
And it gives you comfort, I would say, like psychological comfort to know, even when you're looking at the bigger picture, well, even if it all goes west and like I screw it all up, I only have to come back to this bit,
Yeah.
you know,
And the gap
as
in the
opposed
gain
to,
kick, the gap in the gain kicks in now because
yeah,
the gap is small and you can see
hmm,
the gain.
yeah,
So lots of good stuff in there.
beautiful, beautiful.
I think we've convinced
Okay, well,
ourselves.
I'm sold. Take my money, Steve. No, I mean, I bought the book. I bought the book, and the book
It's not,
has the
and,
website.
and it's not, and it's not, it's we're coaches. We work, we operate in the mindset of value, the
Mm,
transference of value. It's not a grab. And I had a talk with a coach about this on my podcast, and he said, like, how do you differentiate? How does a genuine coach differentiate themselves to all of the stuff that is on, pay per click or paid advertising that just says do this and get this? And
yeah,
how do you differentiate yourself from that? And kudos to you, Andrew, because you're a guy of high integrity, and you're a guy of strong principles around the ethics and what you do around coaching. So those are the things that it's hard because the algorithm doesn't favor us. It doesn't favor
no,
this kind of discussion and people getting deep and wanting to really help people. So it is your commitment over the investment. If you can't commit twice as much than the investment is, then it's not a program. It's not a program. To Don't do it. Don't do anything that you can't commit twice the investment worth, the investment value, whether it's buying an app online on a monthly subscription, or whether it's buying something which is a big purchase. So
hmm,
it's
yeah,
important.
absolutely. I mean, I actually joined this call because I know that if I'm interested in it this much, if I'm so excited about it, there has to be one or two other guys in this community that would be too, and I just want to pass it forward, because it's funny, like the things you don't know until someone tells you, right? Like I had no idea this book existed, and this is not the first time. It's several books this year you recommended to me that have been real mind shifters for me in a positive sense, and yeah, I want to pay it forward as well. So I'm gonna do this with you,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna do whatever I can in an ethical way and a useful way to let people in this community see what we're doing,
Yes.
because if it works that well, yeah, we want other people to see it. So yeah,
Yeah. We
stay
can
tuned.
yeah, we can climb it. We can climb that wall in public. There's not a it's there's no smoke and mirrors here. It's hard work. It's genuine work.
Yeah,
But it's worthwhile work.
yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited. Yes, I usually am by this time of the year. I'm looking forward to January because I get to restart. Now is the first time in a long, long, whatever maybe, that I'm so excited to start October.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
You got a 90-day jump on the year, bro. That's massive. That's massive.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
that's big. That
I normally wait until January and then give myself like an 8 week window until Lunar New Year in February, and because I live in South Korea.
mhm,
So like I set good resolutions in January and I evaluate them for a few weeks,
mhm.
which means not do them. But I evaluate I evaluate them, and then when Lunar New Year rolls around, it's like, okay, these are the ones I'm doing for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
and they still don't get done. But
Yeah.
that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to do this with you, Steve. So stay tuned, everybody, in Extraordinary Men's Network, because I'll be letting you know how it's going for me, and any tips and tricks and advice what will be paid forward, because I think this is something we could all benefit from.
Yeah. And ask us questions if there's anything if you got questions around the process, how to join and anything. This it's not a objection handling as much as if you just got a question that's on the top of your head. How does this thing work? How can you're just trying to fool us about weeks into months. Ask the question, and I'm more
Yeah,
than
yeah.
happy, and we're more than happy to share with you.
And Steve will be able to answer a little bit more than me because he's actually done it 3 times,
Mhm.
whereas I've just read the book. um, but either way, it's going to happen, and yeah, I'm really excited, and you'll be seeing us talking more, I think, soon. Um, but until then, you know what to do. Stay extraordinary.